Draco lives with me. He's with me about 24 hours a day. You can ask my mom. He's always with me. It gets a little ridiculous, I understand. But
Yeah. He goes on dates with them even.
well, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So he lives with me. He's at work every day with me. We do everything together on our days off. He lives inside primarily, outside occasionally, but just me and him in the house. So. He's trained in several things. First is tracking. We usually track something like a felon. If we pull over a car, he runs, and we have a felony on him, my dog can track them. He basically goes and smells the fresh scent of a person or disturbed odors on the ground. He can track anywhere up probably to a half a mile, probably an hour after the person has ran. He also does aggression control. That's a fancy word for biting people, which I use. If someone is non-compliant and they are a suspect of a felony and they're not obeying my commands, I can have my dog subdue them legally. And he also does article searches. I'll get into that a little bit later in area searches and building searches. They all kind of fall within the same type of search pattern. And then most importantly, what he uses all the time is our narcotic detection. He can detect heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, and cannabis. I put this slide up here because a lot of people don't realize how valuable the K-9s are in the police industry. We use him to obviously accurately detect narcotics, locating fleeing suspects, like I was saying, and the evidence search. That's more getting along the lines of an article search, which I'll get into, and then the fleeing felons. My dog speaks fluent Dutch. It's about 9 words, but I say he's fluent because that's the only language he knows. It's interesting. If you tell Draco to lay down, he will look at you with a stupid look on your face, like saying, "What the heck are you talking about?" But if you say "auflegen," that's when he drops to the ground. So he does a really good job with his obedience. However, it's all in Dutch. We do that for several reasons. A, it sounds cool. I like to show off when I'm doing it. And secondly, I don't want the bad guys to be able to say to my dog, "Let go," or "Release," or lay down or sit or something. So I want my commands to be specific to him and nobody else knows. Except my mom, I guess.
He listens to me.
Yeah, he does. Fortunately. His rewards, he lives for finding his toy. His toy is a fire hose. This is the only thing that he cares about in this world besides me, is this dang fire hose. He will do anything, and he's obsessed with it, which is good. So he has the most drive I've ever seen in a dog to try and find a fire hose. But that's his reward when he does something good. We also use a Kong. A Kong is just a rubber ball with a rope on the end that he uses for a toy and stuff. I have one thing under here. Why not mix bomb dogs and drug dogs? We do that for one most important reason. If Draco is going to indicate and tell me that there's something inside the vehicle that he's trained to do, I want to know if it's either drugs or a bomb. I don't want to be searching the car and him saying that there's a bomb in when he's actually telling me that there's drugs in. So we separate those two. He has no training on bomb detection or anything. That's the state police that has specific dogs for that. He's just the drug dog. I already said the dogs will train from 10 to 16 weeks to get their training. We use PVC pipe to train the majority of the dogs. We'll have our narcotics stuffed inside the PVC pipe with holes drilled in it. Once he starts smelling that and getting it in his mouth and smelling it, obviously not eating it, but familiarizing the smell with it, we'll gradually we try to trick them into smelling the drugs he's actually smelling his toy. So we try to get the familiarization going. We'll hide the pipe in a wooden box. So he'll go through a line of wooden boxes, one with drugs in it, and when he smells the narcotic that's inside the PVC, he'll get his toy. So he starts familiarizing himself with, he thinks he's smelling his toy, but in all actuality, he's smelling the drugs. So when he smells coke, heroin, meth, or weed, he actually thinks he's getting to his toy. So you kind of trick him mentally into thinking that he's looking for his toy, and that's what he gets for his reward. There's a couple different types of indications. My dog is an aggressive, alert dog. That means he scratches on something when he smells what he's looking for. So that's how he tells me. So it's very obvious when he knows there's something in there that I need to be concerned about. The other kind is a passive alert dog. They just sit down to let the handler know that there's something inside, whatever they're searching for. There's lots of types of working dogs. I already mentioned bomb dogs and drug dogs, but there's several others. Let's see, they use, I've heard the Illinois Department of Corrections using dogs to seek out cell phones or any type of electronics in prisoners' cells. They use them for utility companies. Use the dogs to smell out for the utility companies. They use them to smell out the poles that are rotting, so they know to replace those poles. It's amazing what they can do. They have cadaver dogs, dogs that can smell the flesh from underneath the ground. They use them on water and everything. It's unbelievable. They actually say a dog's sense of smell is 10,000 times greater than a human's, which is hard to even wrap your brain around. When I bring in, say I bring Draco in and I have a bag of McDonald's with a Big Mac in it. As we would smell McDonald's, Draco is going to smell the cardboard box that it's in, the bun, the sesame seeds, the ketchup, the mustard, everything individually. They say it's like a kaleidoscope in his mind, and he can sift through those smells to find what he's looking for.
Do you want to be a dog here? He likes attention.
See, I have a couple of things that I brought in for equipment that we use to train. First and most important is the bite sleeve. We use this so Draco can successfully bite somebody without causing a major amount of blood loss. He bites the sleeve. It doesn't hurt the person. It's just pressure, and so his teeth can't go through it, and it's pretty stable. So there's a handle at the end. A person wears it just like this, and Draco bites right here. So it's pretty handy for the victim. This is the same basic concept. We just have an entire suit that we put somebody in, and Draco can get them. The person will put the suit on. It's like a big pillow. And the same concept, his teeth can't go through it. Doesn't hurt that bad. A little bit, not that bad. And there's pants to go along with it. Somebody usually wears boots and a helmet or something, so he can't get them. We'll put somebody in this suit, send them off running into a field, and Draco will run them down and tackle them, and has a heyday. The last thing that I brought in was his bulletproof vest. He has a bulletproof vest just like I have one on. You probably can't tell because I'm super skinny, but I do have one on. This is his. It just wraps around his body like this. His head goes through here, and it's bulletproof and stab resistant. These are about $800 a piece. He doesn't really like it that much because it's pretty restricting. So I put it on occasionally when we're going into something dangerous, but I think it hurts his breathing. It's heavy. He's not used to it that much. So we really only use that for emergencies, but it looks cool. Let's see what I do with my remote here. I have a couple videos. I don't know how well the sound is going to be, so this demonstrates pretty much what the dog can do. I'll kind of narrate if we can't hear it, which I'm assuming it's in a room this size, probably won't be able to.
Jamie Lennox, line 1. Jamie Lennox, line 1.
Continues to be to aid in
we hear it or no?
illegal narcotics and to assist with patrol functions in ways that makes policing the community safer and more effective. This is done in a number of ways. Narcotics detection. Narcotics detecting dog is trained to give a specific response when specific narcotics are detected.
Okay, so what we're doing right here is using the dog to, like the boxes that I sent, the scratch boxes. So I'm going to bring him down and he's going to smell several scratch boxes. Some of them have, he has a different toy in one of the boxes. There's food in another one, dog food, dog treats in another one, and then drugs in one. So he's going to go through and search several boxes, and what you'll see here in just a second is how he actually tells me there's something inside the box, in this case drugs. So he's going to indicate on one of these boxes here, and you can tell how aggressive he is. This is the one with drugs in it. He's going to look, he's going to scratch. And as you can see, it's pretty obvious that there's drugs inside. These are the drugs that we hold lawfully. I have a whole arsenal of narcotics to help train the dog in. So they're actually drugs from the DEA that we have a license to carry that we use just strictly for training purposes. So it helps. This is going to show kind of how he does his aggression control. You can see here, he's a maniac. He really can do some damage without that bite sleeve, but he is trained to bite and hold, so he's not to let go until he's commanded to do so. He can do a serious amount of damage. This here shows, I have a remote door popper on my belt. The remote door popper is if I get into a fight.
Jamie Lennox, hospitals on line 1. Jamie Lennox, hospitals on line 1.
I was fighting with a suspect. We're playing through a scenario here. I'm fighting with a suspect. I hit my door popper. The door pops open without me going over the car. He runs out like Superman to save me. So he likes playing that game quite a bit. It gets him really fired up when I'm fighting with somebody, obviously, because he's very protective over me. So the door popper will really come in handy if, I haven't had to use it yet, but it will come in handy if there is that case where I just can't get to the car and I need his help as soon as I can. This is going to show tracking. I said before that he smells the freshest of scents on the ground. This was a track that was laid approximately a half an hour before we started it. When someone takes a step, there's lots of scents that come off of your, that get produced. There's cells or skin cells that come off of your body. There's, when you take a step, dander, there's you break blades of grass. All of these things he uses to track a suspect here. And as you can see, he goes over and searches the fence line. You know he's got him bedded down here, and that he's going to go in and bite him because he caught him. It's kind of unlike no other dog. He's biting and I'm praising him. It seems kind of odd, but that's what we want him to do. We're not chasing the good guys. We're chasing the bad guys that are a serious risk to society, either violence or drugs. So, you know, this may seem a little negative to have a dog bite, but in all actuality, it saves me from having to go hands-on with somebody and getting injured from an officer's perspective. So it saves me and all the other guys from risking harm ourselves. Usually, someone's not going to fight with my dog. They're screaming bloody murder to get him off. So it helps us not getting injured. This is going to show an article search, and this is a really good video because it shows how good he does. An article search is something, say someone is running through a field and drops a gun. Draco can search the entire field, and he's going to find this. So we hid a gun in the, right by a tree, and it's hidden so you can't see it. So you'll tell when he finds it. He's searching, it's right there. He looks at me and looks straight back down and digs at it. It's so obvious that he's found something, and something that would have taken us several people and you know, a lot of time to find. I mean, you can't see it. He smells it and tells me right where it is. It's very handy. We've used this for a number of things. He's basically just smelling human scent that's on the item. We had a guy running from us. I wasn't present at the time, and one of the officers dropped his car keys, which can be a huge issue for obvious reasons. Draco was able to find the car keys in minutes. I mean, it was amazing, where we would have had a lot of manpower lost, you know, putting people beside each other and walking down in a line fashion or something. But he's just smelling the human scent that's on those items. And although we haven't found anything on the street as serious as a gun, it shows that he's certainly capable. This is going to show what we do about 90% of the time on the drug unit. We use him for what we call in law enforcement as a free air sniff. When an officer pulls someone over and they call for me because they suspect there's drugs inside the vehicle, we're going to get there and I'm going to talk to the driver. It's a civil right that you can deny consent to the police. Just because we ask to have something searched, a bad guy knows that he can say no, which can create a problem for most law enforcement, except me. I can take Draco around the car, just like this, and he's going to smell the outside of the car. I'm not on his property, nor am I invading his rights by having my dog sniff around his car.
I gave Raleigh some
So
cookies.
when he
Show
indicates on
Show her what
the
I
car,
did.
which this car is clean, there's no drugs inside, and he just walks
Give her
around.
some
If he does indicate, and he will on the next little clip here, then we have probable cause of search. He can't deny me, and I can search him too. That's why it's so valuable to have him on the drug unit, because we're pulling over people that that are leaving
didn't
known
want
drug
that, so I just-
houses, or we've seen a deal go down or something. It's so valuable that we can get these career criminals off the street, and we're not invading their rights at all, and it's all legal. So this is going to show where he does actually indicate on the car, and it's fairly
Is
similar
that
to the
the
scratch
picture
box.
of
It's all
the
the same
dog
concept.
that he's
The only issue is when he does scratch, it may leave a mark on the car. So it's important for us to find narcotics inside, because then the liability for the scratch is non-existent. He shouldn't have drugs in his car. That's the bottom line. Typically, the car is towed anyway, and possibly seized depending on the nature of the incident and the drug that was located.
We had entertainment.
So here you'll see that he did a scratch. We actually hid the
Some
drug
guy came out
in
and
the gas
played a
tank, or the
piano.
gas tank,
There
cover
was
right
a
here.
girl sing. She sang all kinds of songs yesterday. Okay.
There you go. Does the job right.
Oh my God, cramp in my toe.
I have a clip here that I'll just explain. We were on the news what was it, a year and a half ago, probably?
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe a year ago. We hit the news because of a successful dog story. It was probably my #1 incident since I've had the dog so far. Here's the basics. We get called to a residence in rural Flanagan. A mother had lost her kids in a cornfield. They were out playing. They followed a dog into a cornfield. It was getting dark. They got lost. So she is in panic mode, calling for the police. So we have lots of police around, surrounding the area. It had been about a half hour since the kids were last seen. And there's fire trucks, everything is around, volunteers and everything. I told everybody to stay back, and we went into the cornfield to track. Cornfields are a nightmare for me. He's going in and out of the corn stalks. I have to follow him. He's got it made because he's down on the ground. He's not getting cut by all the leaves. I am. So I'm trying to follow him around, and we were unsuccessful at first. One of the kids came out of the cornfield about 15 minutes after I started the search, so I reversed it. They had to be together at some point. So I went from where that child was located, and I reversed the track. As I'm reversing it, and I'm going through, I can hear the little girl crying. Now, we know from the clips here that when Draco finds somebody at the end of a track, he bites them. So I made sure to talk to Mom and say, I'm just telling you, he's trained to bite at the end. I will try and hold him back as much as I can, but I just want to let you know. She, like any other parent, said just find the kids. So as I'm reversing the track, I can hear her crying. So I pull him back, and we slowly approach, and there she is sitting on the ground crying, covered in dirt. It was probably 10 minutes from darkness. I mean, it was getting really, really bad. So it's hard to say if we saved her or not, but it was certainly successful getting her out of there and getting her to safety. This was my biggest bust that I've ever had. It was 380 pounds at the airport of cannabis. We got called to the airport from Homeland Security. They said, we have a airplane that possibly has a large amount of narcotics. We can't get there in time. Can you help? And if so, send a dog. Well, we just happened to be about a mile from the airport, so we went over there. We held them. The flight, they were suspicious for several reasons. They were using the wrong tail number. They were going up and down in altitude, which piqued the interest of the FAA. There were several things. So when we got there, we held the passenger and the pilot back and ran the dog. He hit, and we were going to search. It got really interesting when within about a half an hour, an airplane came in with federal agents, and about 10 federal agent cops got off. They started pulling off these big, huge duffel bags, and out came 380 pounds of cannabis. It was in about 11 bundles, about 30 pounds apiece. It's very rare to get a big bust like that, so it's kind of a trophy shot for me. Let's see. Do we want to do the? Let's see what time it is. Do we want to do the bite in here or out there?
Probably in here. Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
He's.
Did you get enough room?
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure the officer is here that's gonna help me. I'm gonna have him put the sleeve on. I'll bring him in, and he's gonna be a little paranoid about this floor because he doesn't have a whole lot of traction. So he might be a little nervous. It's important not to approach him. I just have to say that he's gonna be extremely aggressive because he's done this several times, and he knows exactly what's going on as far as coming in and seeing people. So I'm gonna make sure he's here, and we'll bring him in. I need to let's see. I'm gonna move these chairs out of the way.
Okay. All right.